Sachidanand going, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Shall I proceed, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Maharaj has joined.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept our humble obeisance, Maharaj. On behalf of ISKCON South Bangalore, we welcome you, Maharaj, for addressing this glorious event. And it's our great fortune that we got the valuable association of Maharaj. For the benefit of the new devotees, the brief introduction about Maharaj. His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj is one of the senior disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and founder Acharya of ISKCON. And His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj is a Bachelor of Arts degree in Fine Arts and History from the University of British Columbia. And he joined the Hare Krishna movement in India in 1970 and got initiated by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in 1971. And he took sannyas in 1984. His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj was personally instructed in the art of deity worship by Srila Prabhupada. And within ISKCON, he has become an authority on the topic. And he is a great inspiration for many devotees around the world. And he has been preaching Krishna consciousness in Japan, Malaysia, Russia, and India, and other places also. His Holiness is a scholar in Sanskrit and Bengali and has translated 15 significant works of the Gaudiya Vaishnava canon. And many more books are in progress. His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj is a quite achiever and has studied a varieties of disciplines, including martial arts, Reiki healing, Carnatic music, especially Veena. Also is a reputed astrologer. His Holiness continues with his translation service till this today, giving us the nectar from the Bengali and Sanskrit works of the previous Vaishnava Acharya to enhance our understanding of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So once again, we welcome His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj by chanting loudly, Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Over to you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay, what's the topic today?
Festival of Gratitude.
Yeah, any particular subject?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, I could not hear.
Huh? Yeah, it's a festival of gratitude for any particular subject there, or is it just one gratitude and that's it?
Yeah, we are just discussing since last 6 days from the Srimad Bhagavatam about how the devotees are very grateful to his Guru, to the mission, like this.
Okay. Actually, gratitude we don't take as an anga of bhakti. We don't see that mentioned anywhere clearly, but nevertheless, we find Krishna is very full of gratitude to his devotees. So, is this being translated or not? No?
Narayana Prabhu, you can speak, Maharaj.
Maharaja, this is English. Yeah, Kannada separately done.
What is that?
English. This is the English audience, Maharaj,
Okay, fine.
and Kannada is separately done.
Okay.
And because of these 10 years we have been here, so we are expressing the gratitude for their Lordship and Srila Prabhupada. So in that mood we are going, Maharaj.
Okay. So as I said, Krishna expresses gratitude to the devotees in many places in the Bhagavatam. For instance, with the gopis during the Ras Lila, when he returns after disappearing, then he tells the gopis, I cannot repay you in any way, so my gratitude is the only thing that can help me, repay you. I feel completely unable to pay you at all, and your tolerance of that situation is the only solution. So the Lord always feels a gratitude towards his devotees. As for the devotees, of course, naturally, because we act as the servant of the Lord and we don't demand anything, whatever he gives us, then we feel gratitude for that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of course, speaks of gratitude in another sense among normal religions or material religions, where that type of gratitude is somewhat materialistic or done out of duty or whatever, that we feel gratitude simply because the Lord gives us everything in our life, so we have gratitude for that. So that's done in a more official or dutiful manner. However, we don't exclude this from bhakti also. We see that the devotion itself, bhakti, is defined as being favorable towards the Lord, and that means that we do whatever the Lord wants, and we try to please the Lord in all respects, and we feel ourselves completely low or fallen in front of the Supreme Lord, and that the Lord makes arrangements for us in all situations, and therefore we're always thankful to the Lord for whatever he does. Example is given of a domesticated animal. So a person, a farmer, for instance, purchases a cow. So the cow is completely at the mercy of the farmer. And what the farmer must do is duty and take care of the cow. We are like the objects of Krishna who are purchased by him, and we're completely at his mercy. But we're thankful for all his care that he gives to us. So the Lord shows great mercy to us, and we in turn show gratitude towards him. But this is a natural characteristic of bhakti. We appreciate the Lord in all ways. So in our progress and devotional service, we are always getting the assistance of the Lord. This is the quality of bhakti that distinguishes it from karma, jnana, and yoga. So in the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni discusses how Krishna appears in the heart and he destroys all the anarthas. So he personally comes and helps us advance in our devotion. Similarly, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, Krishna explains how he quickly delivers the devotee from the ocean of samsara. So the Supreme Lord personally involves himself with the devotees. And therefore the devotees feel gratitude to the Lord for that. So in our execution of devotional service, there are always obstacles, and at the same time, the devotee is tolerant of all obstacles, and he perseveres in performing his bhakti. And because of that, the Lord is very, very pleased. So he continues in spite of all the obstacles that are there. So the Lord becomes pleased, and therefore Krishna also says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, even if the devotee commits a mistake, even if he commits a sinful activity, still, I don't mind that, as long as the devotee remains fixed in his service to the Lord. So the Lord tolerates so much for the devotee, and the devotee feels gratitude to the Lord for that. So the obstacles that may appear in devotional service, and the devotee is ready to work as best he can to overcome those obstacles. We see the example of that in the case of Prabhupada, when he tried to establish the temple in Bombay. So he purchased the land, and then there were a lot of legal problems, and they were kind of complex problems. But Prabhupada never gave up. He continued to fight against all those obstacles. And then, of course, in the end, he won. So the obstacles are there for us, and we try to overcome those obstacles and continue our service to the Lord. And the Lord is pleased by our perseverance in that respect. And then he gives us nice rewards. Of course, we should not think of reward in terms of anything material. Rather, the response is ultimately internal, in that the Lord helps us advance in devotional service and ultimately bestows bhava and prema, the result of our sadhana. But along the way, he will give all assistance. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he preserves what we have and he supplies what we lack. So the devotee does not ask for anything, but yet the Lord is willing to support the devotee in all its endeavors. So we have our devotional service, we have our different projects, we get obstacles to those projects. We continue to serve the Lord as best we can. And the Lord responds to that by helping us solve our problems. And then we can go to the next stage and do service, whatever like that. So in this way, we establish our preaching, we establish our centers, we build temples, etc. And we see throughout the history of ISKCON that there has been struggle there also. As I said, the Bombay issue was there, struggles in Mayapur, struggles in Vrindavan, struggles everywhere. There's always some problem, but the devotee tolerates and goes on with his devotional service, and the Lord helps us solve the problem, and then we continue to expand and preach and whatever. But this is the basic attitude of devotee. He perseveres when there are problems, and then the Lord responds to that and is merciful to him and helps him. And then the devotee feels gratitude for that too. So, he thanks the Lord for all of his help. In terms of purity of our devotion, when we do devotional service, we're not expecting results or rewards. So I do this in order to get a certain result. So if we have that attitude, then it's not pure bhakti, because pure bhakti is defined as anya abhilasha shunya, no other desire than desire to please the Lord. So we're not expecting results for ourselves, but we can aim for results for Krishna. So that is why we continue to struggle against obstacles, because we're doing something for Krishna. So in the case of Bombay, for instance, Prabhupada struggled, the devotees struggled there because it was for building Krishna's temple. And the landlord was harassing when they started, they had the deities there, and he tried to stop the water and whatever, tear down the temple, etc. So Prabhupada acted on behalf of Krishna. So when we do things for the Supreme Lord, that is devotional acts of service, and we struggle to do them, then there is no problem there if we're trying to get success there. It is not considered to be impurity in our devotional service. So we perform these services with the idea of pleasing the Lord and hoping to succeed in them. And if we do succeed, then we do not become proud, because that pride contaminates our result, and somehow that pride is related to ourselves as being the doer of that. So therefore, the opposite of that is not pride, but the gratitude. That we don't think of ourselves as the doer of that, but the gratitude expresses the idea that Krishna's done it, that he's the doer, not us. Of course, we do have a factor there because of our devotion. The Lord helps us, but we're not proud in any way of being the doer in that case. So that attitude has to be there in our devotional service. In the Kadambini, Krishna Chakravarti talks about the obstacles that may appear in devotional service. We may feel that become attached to the results of our activities, because bhakti itself will give many results, and the Lord will supply many things to the devotees. So he may give position, he may give land, he may give properties, he may give wealth or whatever, he may give fame and position, and may give followers. If we become attached to these things, then this becomes an obstacle, an anartha for us. So that's considered to be an anartha that arises from the process of bhakti itself. It's not because of karma or anything else, but in the process of bhakti, bhakti gives many things. And if we become attached to those things for material reasons, then they become anarthas for us. So therefore, we have to keep avoiding that attachment for ourselves when we become successful in our devotional service. And instead of using them for ourselves and thinking that they are ours, we always think of them as belonging to the Supreme Lord for his purpose. And we try to use them for him, not for ourselves. So this is another aspect of the gratitude that we show. Often we speak of causeless devotional service, unmotivated bhakti, unmotivated prema, unmotivated love. So that gratitude there also is a part of that, the love is not to try to get something out of the Lord, but rather it is an expression of our surrender. So whatever we achieve, it's got nothing to do with our abilities, but rather it's the mercy of the Lord. So therefore, all we can do is express gratitude for that. So this is part of spiritual life. In the material world, one may express gratitude also. This, of course, is, we could say, an aspect of karmas. So one is enjoying or prescribed to do certain activities every day, and all of this involves gratitude. So you do tarpanas to your ancestors. This is an expression of gratitude to your ancestors. Why? Because they have produced you. If they weren't there, then you would not be in this world. So they have produced you. You express gratitude towards your parents because they raised you. So these attitudes are very strong in the Dharma of India. Respect the parents, respect the ancestors, etc. So this is an expression of gratitude. Of course, it is material, because we're having gratitude for supplying food, for supplying a family, etc. It's a material type of gratitude. But this is, say, a reflection of the spiritual gratitude. So or we say it is training for that spiritual gratitude. So if one is attached to these rituals or whatever, tarpanas and whatever, in the material world. But then a step above that is worship of devatas. And that again is an expression of gratitude. Why do we worship devata? Because the devata gave me something. I got some wealth, so I'll worship Ganesh or Lakshmi or whatever because I show my gratitude to them. So that's purely material again. But of course, there's nothing wrong with it because I said it's a step in the right direction. So higher than that, of course, is the worship of the Supreme Lord. And of course, the Lord can also supply us material things because he supplies the devatas ultimately. So instead of going to the devatas, we express our gratitude by going to the Lord and worshiping him. But there's a material element there because we're getting material things from the Lord and then expressing gratitude. So it's not purely spiritual there. Then when we come to the idea of doing devotional service and getting results from that service and worshiping the Lord, this is a step above that because we are showing gratitude to the Lord because of devotional response. We're getting devotional things, devotional elements. We may get property, we may get a temple, etc. So this is not material anymore. It's used for the Lord, something spiritual. So that is a step above this material gratitude. So here we get to the spiritual level of gratitude. However, even then, we could say there's a material element because we're dealing with properties and temples, whatever, in the material world, whatever. So the ultimate gratitude, of course, is completely non-material, and that is simply to get a spiritual response from the Lord in terms of prema, and that we feel gratitude for that. So that is what the devotees of the Lord feel in the spiritual world or in Vrindavan. Their gratitude is, with no material aspects at all. They're not showing thankfulness to Krishna because he's supplying their food or whatever like that. They have gratitude because they are allowed to serve him, and he accepts that service with a great joy. So it's an exchange on the completely spiritual, emotional level, involving no objects at all, though it may be expressed in terms of objects. So that is the ultimate type of gratitude, favorable response from the Lord, and then we feel gratitude for that. We appreciate the Lord's affectionate response. So the Lord, by his nature, is perfect, and he perfectly responds to all the devotees. He is famous as being called Bhakta Vatsala, affectionate towards his devotees. So he responds to them in all ways for their needs, for their, of course, in the material world, we may have material needs we need. So the Lord says, I will supply what you lack and preserve what you have. But of course, higher than that, what the devotee wants is this continuation of relationship with the Lord, prema. And so the Lord keeps responding to the devotee in prema, and the devotee is satisfied with that and responds equally with affection for the Lord, prema for the Lord. So that is how gratitude is expressed in the spiritual world. So we are on a lower level now in the material world, progressing through different stages of sadhana. But to keep that progress steady, then we have to very carefully cultivate so that the progress is not stopped. So the progress is stopped by the weeds in devotional service. The bhakti lata grows, but the weeds will interrupt it. So how to prevent the weeds from growing is that we do have this proper attitude. We try to maintain that purity in our devotional service. And part of that, how to maintain that purity, is to have the proper attitude. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, the Jiva Goswami mentions the different angas of bhakti, like hearing, chanting, remembering, and so many other things. But he says the first anga is surrender, Sharanagati. So, but within that Sharanagati, we have this idea of thinking of himself as very, very small and insignificant in front of the Lord, and recognizing the protection that he gives, and thinking that we are nothing in front of the Lord. So within that, there is this idea of thankfulness or gratitude towards the Lord also. So therefore, it is I would say, intrinsic to the process of bhakti itself. So if that surrender, and within that the gratitude is expressed at all times, we are in the hands of the Lord. We don't allow anarthas of pride, material attachment to affect our devotional treatment. And then we can progress very, very nicely. So this is the basic sadhana that we follow, inherent in our process of developing bhakti, is this gratitude. So whatever progress they've made in terms of preaching and establishing temples, etc., we always have to show sincere gratitude towards the Supreme Lord for his response to us. And we shouldn't be attached to our results. Rather, we try to do more for Krishna. Okay, any question there?
Maharaj, there is a question in the chat. Can I read out for you, Maharaj?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
This question is from Ashok Gaura Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. If a devotee is killed like in Bangladesh, how do we understand the Lord's gratitude for all devotees this devotee has done? Is it his karma working on him, or it happened under the supervision of Lord for another purpose?
Yeah.
Also, is our protection by Lord directly proportional to our level of surrender? Should we not aspire for physical protection or maintenance protection, or only focus on bhakti?
Well, we find that it's not always dependent on the purity, because we see that Gajendra, he was praying to the Lord because he was attacked by the crocodile. So that was not pure. Nevertheless, the Lord responded and he protected him. So it's not always dependent on purity. Nevertheless, obviously, as the devotee advances, then we understand the Lord responds. So in the case of Prahlad, every time he was in danger, the Lord protected him. Of course, he wasn't praying for protection, but the Lord gave him protection in all cases because he was remembering the Lord. And of course, the other case you could think of is Haridas Thakur. Although the Muslims beat him in the marketplace, he didn't feel anything because he was protected by the Lord. So yes, the Lord does that. In other cases, of course, we know that devotees may get killed, whatever like that. We cannot always understand the motives of the Lord. In the first canto there, I think it's Bhishma and even Kunti, they say, well, we cannot understand the plan of the Lord. He puts the devotees in miseries. The Pandavas suffered for many years in exile, etc. Why does the Lord do all of this? So we don't know really why the Lord does this. Of course, after some time, then we do understand that the Lord had a purpose in that afterwards. But when it's happening, we don't understand. So this is sometimes the nature of the devotional service, that we can't completely understand the plan of the Lord. Some devotees may suffer, some may disappear, or whatever. We don't know what the plan of the Lord is. Nevertheless, because he is the Supreme Lord, whatever he does is perfect in all ways. So therefore, we leave it up to the Lord, that his decision. Therefore, we don't interfere with it. So that is how we take these different cases. The Lord has his own plan, and we don't really understand what it is.
Maharaj, there is another question for me. This is Maharaj, the question is, whenever we make some little progress or little success, the immediate tendency is to take credit for that success. Whereas if I fail in my seva or progress, if I don't make adequate progress, I put it on Krishna, saying that Krishna didn't want me to do. So how to overcome this basic tendency of taking credit of success and blaming the Lord when I'm not successful?
Well, this becomes very material. If we take success, the credit for the success, but not for the failure, this is an aspect of being the doer, and it's a show of pride, etc. So I was mentioning that when we're doing our activities, if this creeps in, then this contaminates the bhakti. It is a sign that we're not so advanced after all. So we should not be attached to the result. Krishna Chakravarti calls this Taranga Rangani, enjoying the waves. So you get some success because bhakti gives you success, but then we feel proud of it and become attached to it. So this is enjoying the waves, jumping around in the waves of success. So this is a sign of a neophyte in devotional service, which means there is material contamination. So how do we get rid of this? Of course, is I said that the practice of bhakti has to be done properly. If it is done properly, as I said, with that idea of surrender, then we can never take credit for anything. We are our position is that of being the smallest of the small. So we understand we have no abilities. And we see that expressed by many of our Vaishnava poets. They talk about how they are the most fallen and no one is more fallen than I. So they're not saying this as an exaggeration. This is the genuine feeling of a real devotee. He expresses the greatest dainya or humility in front of the Lord. So if we don't show that humility, then that is a sign of our impurity. And it's going to create a problem in our devotional service. So the way we overcome it by understanding what is the real process of bhakti and associating with devotees who have that purity in their practice.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna devotees, I have unmuted the lines. You may raise your hands or you can directly unmute, share your questions. There is another question from Ravi Lochana Gauran Prabhu Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Can you please explain what should be the mood of our prayers?
Well, Prarthana or prayers is one anga of bhakti. We can have our own prayers, or we can recite the prayers of the past devotees, like the prayers of Kunti, or the prayers of Prahlad, or the prayers of Gajendra, etc. But if we look at these prayers and examine them, we should go for the purity of the prayer. In the material world, people also pray, and people go to the temple and pray to different devatas, or even to Balaji. But their prayer is usually a prayer to get something. It's not so much a prayer, it's a demand or a request. I pray to you, please give me this. Or after they get it, then they pray and express gratitude for getting something from the Lord. So that's not exactly the purest way of doing bhakti. So our prayers, of course, can be expressed in terms of a prayer for purity in our devotion. In other words, we don't want to desire anything out of it for ourselves, but we're simply trying to please the Lord and serve Him better. So our prayers can be in that direction to serve the Lord in a purer way, so that we can please Him more. So that is how we can say it. And as Prabhupada expresses that in Hare Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. That's our prayer.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna devotees, are there any other questions? You can unmute or you can. Okay. Maharaj, there is one other question from Grace Sachidanand Govind Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, naturally we are gratitude when we receive. But how can we be gratitude towards the Lord and devotees without receiving?
Oh, well, receiving what? If we receive something material, we express gratitude. You pray to the Lord and you get a promotion, so therefore you express gratitude. So that's a little bit material, isn't it? So the real gratitude does not depend on getting anything material. Nevertheless, bhakti depends on response. I worship the Lord or try to please the Lord, and the Lord gives a response. What is the response? The Lord is pleased with our attempt to please Him. Just as Krishna was pleased with Mother Yasoda for tying him up. Even though it didn't look like a good service, it was punishing him. He was pleased because she was trying to raise Krishna properly. And that was her sentiment of affection. So he was not pleased by the tying up. He was pleased with the expression of love, the bhakti. So he was tied up by her prema, not by any ropes. So there's a response of the Lord to our devotion. The Lord is pleased. And if the Lord is pleased, what happens? We become pleased. As if you put water on the root of the tree, then the whole tree is nourished and the flowers come and the fruit come, etc. So in the same way, we worship the Lord. Everybody is pleased. The Lord is pleased, and then we become pleased. So the response of the Lord leads to satisfaction of the jiva. And when we get that satisfaction, then we understand the Lord has responded. And then from that, we express our gratitude.
Thank you, Maharaj. There is another question from Swarna.
You can say also it's a part of what's the unconditional prema, or this pure bhakti, or anya abhilashita shunya, etc. Just as the love itself is unconditional. We love not because of this or that. We simply love the Lord, express our affection for the Lord. So the same way with the gratitude.
Thank you, Maharaj. There is another question from devotee. Her Grace Swarna Vihari Leela Devi Dasi Mataji wants to ask a question. Dandavat Pranam Maharaj, Hare Krishna. In what way gratitude can be paid back? Yeah.
Well, Krishna says he couldn't repay the gopis for their sacrifice to them, so he felt ever indebted to them. But spiritually speaking, the only way there is a response is devotional response. In other words, the Lord shows affection for the devotee shows affection for the Lord. So that exchange itself is the way in which the gratitude is responded by the Lord. The Lord feels gratitude towards the devotee, and then the devotee feels more affection for the Lord, and then the Lord feels more affection for the devotee. So it's just the attitude, the exchange of affection, that is the ultimate solution to this.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna devotees, any other questions?
What is the occasion of this?
Maharaj, actually we are celebrating our 10th anniversary of our temple commencement. So the last
The
10
temple
days.
was established 10 years ago?
Yes, Maharaj.
In October?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, fine. Okay.
That's the occasion. Maharaj, there is another question, Sri Balaji Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, non-gratitude attitude may also result due to expectations that we might have to respond back to someone's act of kindness to us. How do we overcome this kind of attitude, Maharaj?
Well, that is expressed in the riddles that Krishna gave to the gopis. The person that doesn't show response when somebody does something for him. But he said, well, that's the lower type. That's not a real proper person. The person shows love even if the other person doesn't respond or whatever they do. So that's unconditional love. So that is the goal of the devotee. We're not expecting something from Krishna, but we express our love simply because he is the object of love. So this means, causes devotional service. So that is the very nature of pure bhakti. We may not be at that stage where we can express that nicely, but that should be our goal at least. If we have some bhakti that's mixed, whatever, fine. But it's only with that purity that we can actually get the highest level of prema. So we should strive for that purity in our devotional service.
Hare Krishna Narahari Prabhu, want to share any message?
That's it.
Sachidanand Govind Prabhu, you would like to share any final notes, Prabhuji? There are no more questions.
I have one question, Maharaj. The Lord says to achieve Him, you have to have unconditional love. But He has put many conditions to us. How we can understand it?
What is that, many?
To achieve Krishna, we should have unconditional love. But at the same time, Krishna put us many conditions to achieve Him. How we can understand?
Well, whatever conditions are there are actually conditions of unconditional love. You can love him in any sense. So therefore, Krishna says, even if you're the four types of devotees, Arta, Jigasa, Arta, Digati, Cha, which there's some contamination there, still you're my devotee. So in that sense, he doesn't make any condition, does he? And then he says, Astro Vaishastas Sudras Tepiyanti Param Gatim, even the women Vaishyas and Sudras, what to speak of the Brahmins and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and whatever, they can all attain me. In that sense, no conditions, or any human being can attain me. Or in the case of Ajamil, yeah, he allows people that just simply chant his name to destroy all their karmas immediately. So in that sense, he puts much less conditions than any other spiritual process. But if you want to get the highest level, that is prema, then there are some conditions, that is. We should not contaminate our bhakti with, material desires, etc.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks for enlightening us. I have a question. This is regarding, our own the children, or maybe some relatives, very close relatives. We try to do a lot of service to them, and then, but there is, in terms of the respect or gratitude, we may not receive it. There could be some wayward behaviors. So how do we deal with such situations?
Well, as I said, the real love is tested by, even if there is not a response, we still love. We don't give up the love. That's unconditional love. So therefore, we shouldn't be affected if there is no response. We do our, of course, as we say, material duties, and we come a little detached from it. We don't expect responses, and we leave it up to Krishna. That's all.
Very good. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in the Nectar of Devotion, we hear the pure bhakti is anyavilashita shunyam. So one devotee asked whether the Devahuti aspiring to have Lord Kapila as her son, does that come under pure devotional service, or is it that desire, is it acceptable, or the Sutapa and Prishnigarba, like when they wanted to have the Lord as their own son, is that what it is actually? Is that although it is pure, or is it that aspiration, desire also should not be there?
Yeah, in some cases that desire is not so pure. In other cases, it's only a part of the Leela, so that the Lord can appear in the material world. So we can't find fault with Devahuti, etc. So it depends on the particular situation. There may be some attachment to that, and we can say it's material, whatever. But ultimately, we can say that the mother desires that her son, that the Lord takes birth as her son, so that she can establish a relationship of caring for him in prema. So it's a type of aspiration for service. So in that sense, it's not impure.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj, thank devotees. Are there any other questions to Maharaj? You can unmute yourself and ask your question to Maharaj. We have a few more minutes of time. Sachidan going Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Correct.
I think we can, there are no questions, it seems.
Okay.
Probably you can share your final comments.
Yeah. Maharaj, thank you so much for your wonderful nectarian class. The one point, it touched my heart really. You said festival of gratitude is to express that Krishna is the doer, not us. It's a very touching point, Maharaj. Also, you have mentioned about quality of bhakti, how we should be gratitude to our parents, and how the Lord, towards the Lord, and the devotee. Very impressive class, Maharaj. Thank you so much for a wonderful nectarian class.
Hare Krishna.
And on behalf of ISKCON South Bangalore, we are really thankful for giving us your blessings and Holy Association on the occasion of 10th anniversary celebration of ISKCON South Bangalore.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Very well.
Thank you, Maharaj. We can end today's session with Vishnu Pranam, Mancha Kalpataram, Ketanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for being with us. With respect to tomorrow's Bhagavatam class, there will be an announcement from the temple. Swami Prakash Prabhu, you have any update on the class timing for tomorrow? Is it morning or evening? Or?
It will be in the evening, Prabhu.
Okay, what time, Prabhuji? Or we have decided, or it is still?
Tomorrow evening it will be from around 5 o'clock. Kirtans will start. Then around 5:15 to 6:15, 6:30 the class will be there. 6:30 then Tulsi Aarti, Gaur Aarti, and then 7 o'clock the Amar.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Swami
Yes.
Prakash Prabhu.
Yes, bro.
Prabhu, you can announce about today's protest for in Freedom Park. So you can give the detail for devotees.
We request all the devotees to kindly today at 10:45 around 11 o'clock onwards in the Freedom Park. All the devotees are assembling from all the three temples together to have a silent protest against the Bangladesh issue. So we request devotees where are possible to kindly come to the Freedom Park by 10:45 to 11 o'clock. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. With this, I would like to, Prabhuji, you want to show the darshan of the Lord? The altar open, deities are open. Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji.
जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन की जय। कृष्णा गोविंदा श्री नरसिंह स्वामी की जय।
क्या रीडिंग वाला
हाँ ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ ನಾನೇ ಹೋಗ್ತೇನೆ